Hello and Assalamu alaikum students. How are you? During this meeting, I am going to discuss with you regarding the pay structures, and this is actually the part which is going to deal with compensating human resources, and that's very important part. And establishing a pay structure, and then the next chapter is going to deal with recognizing employee contribution with a pay, and then chapter number 14 which deal with the employee benefit. So these all chapters are quite important. These are the learning objectives in front of you. So this in this chapter we are going to discuss about the different kind of a decision involved in establishing a pay structure. Then we are going to discuss the legal requirement for the pay policies. Um, these legal requirements has been discussed in the context of the United States, and this chapter has also been written in the context of the United States. But some of the concepts have been also been used, but many concepts have can be used in our context as well. Describe how employees evaluate the fairness of the pay structure, how organization design pay structure related to the job, what are the alternative to the job-based pay, and then summarize how to ensure that pay is actually in line with the pay structure, and then in discussing the some issues of paying employees, serving in uh, serving in the military. We are not going to discuss that thing, but we are going to discuss about paying executives. So, from the employer point of view, pay is a very powerful tool for meeting the organizational goal, and pay has a large impact on the employee attitudes and the behavior, and it influences which kinds of the employee are attracted to and remain with the organization. By rewarding certain behavior, it can align employees' interests with the organization goals. Employees care about policies affecting earning because the policies affect the employee's income and standard of living. And beside the level of pay, employee care about the fairness of the pay compared with what others earn. Also, employee consider pay a sign of status and success. They attach great importance to the pay decision when they evaluate their relationship with their employer. For these reasons, organization must carefully manage and communicate decisions about the pay. And same time, pay is a major cost, and the cost might range from an amount equivalent to the 5% of the revenue to the almost 40% of the revenue. So employers consider options such as linking pay to the performance, or sometime if they are not able to afford the skilled employee, then they are going to hire a less experienced worker, which even require more training. So this chapter is going to discuss about how companies compensate employees with pay and benefit, and describe how managers weigh the importance and the cost of the pay to arrive at a structure for compensation and levels of pay for the different job. So first learning objective, which is about the decisions about the pay. This objective is identify the kinds of the decision involved in establishing a pay structure. Because pay is quite important, both in its effects on employees and on account of its cost. Organization need to plan well uh, how what they will pay employees in each job. So organization make decision about two aspects of the pay structure. One is job structure, another is pay level. So job structure consists of the relative pay for the different jobs within the organization. It establishes relative pay among different functions and different levels of responsibility. For example, job structure defines the difference in pay between an entry level accountant and an entry level assembler, as well as the difference between an entry level accountant, the accounting department manager, and the organizational controller. So the basically the concept of the job structure is means that what are the different kind of the pay for the different kind of a job within the organization. So that structure establishes the pay according to the different functions and the different level of the responsibility in the organization. In our context, you can see that, for example, there is a lecturer, assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. So they have a different kind of a pay for each designation. So that is their job structure. Then the pay level. Pay level is the average amount the organization pays for particular job, or together the average amount including wages, salary, and bonuses the organization pay for the particular job. For example, what is the average pay of the lecturer in the university? What is the average pay of the assistant professor in the university? And there are differences in their salary on the basis of their seniority and the basis of their incentives and the basis of their different kind of a, rewards. But the pay level is the average pay of the lecturer or average pay of the assistant professor or average pay of the professor. And pay structure is together, if you are putting the job structure and the pay level, so that becomes the pay structure. The pay structure helps the organization achieve goals related to employee motivation, cost control, and the ability to attract and retain talented human resources. So pay structure is a combination of the job structure and the pay level. So that is the pay structure. Now these are the three important terms: job structure, pay level, pay structure. So organization, job structure, and pay levels are the policies of the organization rather than the amount of the particular employee earn. For example, an organization pay structure could include the range of pay that a person may earn in the job of the entry level accountant. So that is, for example, if there is an entry level accountant, so what are the pay policies of the organization for an accountant, entry level accountant job? Individual accountant could be earning an amount anywhere within that range. So that the person, for example, if they have a pay range, for example, for an entry level accountant, the pay range is 70,000 till 100,000. So they are giving a salary to the individual on the basis of that pay range, depending upon the experience of the accountant, depending upon the skill and the experience of an accountant. If the person has a higher experience and the skill, then they can give a higher end of the pay range, or if the person has a lower experience, and they can give a starting of that pay range. So especially for the organization which has hundreds of employees like government of Pakistan, so it would be impractical for the manager and the human resource department to make a unique decision about each employee pay. So that's why they have a certain kind of they develop a pay structure for determining the pay of the individual who join their organization. Now, what are the different kind of issues in developing a pay structure? If you look here, there are different kind of a pay level decisions, job structure decision, and the pay structure decision, which are the pay rates, pay grades, pay ranges, pay differentials. And these pay level decisions have been influenced by the legal requirements and equal pay for equal work, minimum wage, overtime pay, restriction on child labor, market forces, product markets, labor markets, and then the organization goal. What are the that's high quality workforce, cost control, equity and fairness, and legal compliance. So these are the different kind of a thing which influence the pay structures. Which statements about the pay do you feel most strongly about? You can answer this question in the comment. Now there are certain kind of legal requirements for the pay in United States. The first principle is equal employment opportunities. Any difference in pay must instead be tied to such business related consideration as job responsibilities or performance. And the goal is for employees to provide equal pay for equal work. Job description, job structure, and pay structure can help organizations demonstrate that they are upholding these laws. Equal opportunity laws do not guarantee equal pay for men and women, whites and minorities, or any other groups, because so many legitimate factors from education to choice of occupation affect a person's earning. So this is a one kind of a you can also look into the detail about the issue of the equal pay. The HR how to box provide some additional guidance regarding this manner. Then there are some kind of a minimum wage laws in United States. In Pakistan also there are some minimum wage laws, and that become the basis for the uh, pay beginning pay of the employee. And the minimum, by minimum wage I mean the lowest amount that employees may pay under federal or state law, stated as an amount of pay per hour. So that's a then the Fair Labor Standard Acts (FLSA) federal law establish a minimum wage and requirement for overtime pay and child labor. There are certain age limit, and the Pakistani law is also covering these factors of the child age and the minimum wages. And another requirement of the FLSA in the United States is the employee must pay higher wages for overtime, defined as work hours beyond 40 hours per week. So I will discuss the overtime. Let's say legal requirement for pay. Two employees who do the same job cannot be paid different wages because of race or age. Only if there are difference in their experience, skill, seniority, or job performance are there legal reason why their pay might be different. I have discussed with you Fair Labor Standard Acts, federal law that establishes minimum wage and requirements for overtime pay and child labor. Um, Pakistan also has a Ministry of Labor, so they set these kind of standards in Pakistan. And minimum wage is the lowest amount employers may pay under federal or state law. These kind of laws also exist in Pakistan. Overtime is hour work beyond 40 hours per week. Our employer must pay 1.5 times employer usual rate for overtime hours. Exempt employees are not going to get the overtime pay, and these are the managers, outside salespeople, and other employees not covered by FLSA requirement. Non-exempt employees covered by the FLSA requirement for the overtime pay. Because the exempt employees have a higher salaries and the reward, so that's why they have not been covered for a overtime pay. This is the one calculation of the overtime pay, and you can look into that thing that the pay for the first 40 hours and plus bonus is this. So hourly rate is $13 and overtime rate is 19.50. So if the person is working 10 hours more, then it's stipulated hours of 40 regular hours, then he or she will get $195 more. And that's a per hour calculation for a week time. Child labor and employers in the there are certain kind of the rules which cover that the age of the children who are uh, allowed to work in factories and who are allowed to work in a organization. However, this there are certain kind of the violations as well. So, but there are laws which are covering these aspects of the child labor. In Pakistan, there are also some laws regarding the child labor, and you can look into the labor code of Pakistan, which cover this aspect of a child labor as well. Children under 14 may not be employed. Children age 14 and 15 may work only outside school hours in non-hazardous jobs and for limited time period. Children age 16 and 17 may not be employed in hazardous jobs. And these are certain kind of the laws which are basically skipping because it is more related with United States. Okay, then the legal requirements pay. There are certain kind of now according to the US, they must report a ratio of the CO pay to the pay of the median employee. What is the compo ratio? What is the ratio of the CO pay to the pay of the typical worker? And the ratio compares the CO compensation to that of company's median employee, meaning the one whose earnings are at the median for employees' pay. And the ratio would be very high in an organization where the CO compensation is high, but employees typically hold low paying position. And it would be lower in organization with highly paid employees such as doctor or IT workers. And the determination of the median employee excludes contract workers, and it includes employees outside the United States unless they represent a very small share of the organization workforce. Now, what are the economic influences of on pay? And we discuss how economic forces and influences decision about the pay. Um, any organization cannot make the pay decision without considering the influences of without considering the economic influences and the kind of the economy in which the companies are operating. The organization must keep cost low enough that they can sell their product profitably, and so they may be able to attract worker in a comparative labor market. Now, the first is the product markets. The organization product markets include organizations that offer competing goods and services. In other words, the organization in a product market are competing to serve the same customer. To succeed in their product market, organization must be able to sell their goods and services at a quantity and price that will bring them a sufficient profit. And they may try to win customer by being superior in a number of areas, including quality, customer service, and price. An important influence on the price is the cost to produce the goods and services for sale. So the cost of the labor is a significant part of the organization cost. So if the organization costs are higher than its competitors, it will be under pressure to charge more than the competitor charge for the similar product. So if one company spends $50 in labor cost to make a product and its competitor spends only $35, second company will be more profitable unless the first company can justify a higher price to the customer. And the product market place an upper limit on the pay an organization will offer. This upper limit is most important when labor costs are a large part of an organization total cost and when the organization customers place great importance on the price. Second is the labor market, and this is also influencing the pay decisions. And labor markets organization compete to obtain the human resources in the labor market, and in general, organization workers prefer higher paying jobs and avoid employers that offer less money for the same type of the job. Some workers, not a majority, will make an effort to negotiate higher pay when applying for a job. And competition establishes a minimum pay to hire an employee for other job, and that may be influenced by the living cost of the company. And that is basically the inflation in the company and the kind of the cost of the living in that company, in that country, cost of the living in that country. The cost of the living include the cost of the household typical expenses such as house payments, groceries, medical care, petrol, rent, etc. In some parts of the country, the cost of the living is higher than other. So the local labor market there will likely demand higher pay. So over time, the cost of the living tends to rise. When the cost of the living is rising rapidly, labor market demand pay increases. So there is another economic index which we call the CPI, Consumer Price Index, and nation cost of the living with a measure we can measure the nation cost of the living called the Consumer Price Index, and that kind of a changes can demand a pay increase in the labor market. There is a strong demand for nurses in the labor market. What this means for hospital is that they have to pay comparative wages and other perks to attract and retain staff. How does it differ from the airline industry current labor market? I have already discussed this thing with you. Okay. So deciding what to pay. Although labor and the product market limit organization choices about pay level, there is a range within which organization can make decision. The size of this range depends on the details of the organization comparative environment. If many workers are competing for a few jobs, employers will have more choices. And similarly, employers can be more flexible about pay policies if they use technology and work designed to get better results from employees than their competitor do. All things are not equal from the for from one employer to another. Um, for example, some organizations are paying the higher pay as comparison to the market pay, a market average pay to attract the top talent, and some companies are offering a median pay as the market is offering. So, what is the policy of the organization in this regard? The policy could be to pay its worker overall at the 50th percentile, that is matching market pay on average, and but to aim for 75th percentile for higher demand worker paying more than what 75% of the worker earn in the comparable job. So this approach is based on the view of employees as the resources. Higher pay may be an investment in superior human resources, and having a higher labor cost than your competitor is not necessarily bad if you also have the best and most effective workforce, which produces more products of the better quality. So pay policies are the one of the most important human resource tool for encouraging desired employee behavior and discouraging undesired behavior. Now, gathering information about the market pay. To compete for talent, organization use benchmarking. This is a procedure in which an organization compare its own practice against those of successful comparators. So, in terms of compensation, benchmarking involves the issue of pay service, and the pay service provide an information that what kind of the pay their competitors are offering to offering at the same job level. So, benchmarking has a multiple sources of data: pay surveys, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Society for Human Resource Management in North America, consulting groups. And in our case, we can have our own pay surveys. Companies can conduct their own pay surveys. And there are few secondary sources which can provide the information about the pay in the industry. So human resource professionals need to determine whether to gather data focusing on particular industries or on job categories. Industry specific data are especially relevant for job skill that are specific to the type of the product. For job with skill that can be transferred to the companies in other industry, survey of job classification will be more relevant. So that depends upon that what kind of the industry in which you're operating. If you're looking for a job which is more relevant to that particular industry, then your job survey focusing on that particular job. But if you're looking for example accountant which is a transferable competencies in the different industry, then you're looking for the accountant uh, job accountant salaries in a different industries. And okay, the employee now we are looking learning objective number 4. Describe how employees evaluate the fairness of the pay structure. So employees evaluate their pay relative to the other employee, and the social scientists have studied this kind of the comparison and developed the equity theory to describe how people make judgments about fairness. According to equity theory, people measure outcomes such as pay in terms of their inputs. For example, an employee might think of her pay in terms of her master degree, her 12 years of experience, and her 60-hour work weeks to decide whether a level of the pay is equitable. The person compares her ratio of outcome and input with other people's outcome and input ratio. And the person might notice that an employee with less education or experience is earning more than she is. So that she consider unfair, or that of an employee who works 80 hours a week is earning more, that considered as a fair. So in general, employees compare their pay and contribution against their peer inside and outside the organization. So there are two kind of the equities: external equity and the internal equity. External equity describe fairness of one's pay relative to what employees in other organization earn for doing the same job. Internal equity describe fairness of one pay relative to other employees in the same organization. So employees make these kind of a comparisons relative to the co-worker doing the same job, as well as employees at higher and the lower level. In case of students, students sometimes compare their grades and result with their uh, class fellows. So that is kind of internal equity within the class. And sometimes they compare their grades outside of the department to the other department or to the other university. So that becomes the external equity, whether they are getting a higher grades or a lower grades, and kind of the effort where they are putting in for that particular course. So employee response to the judgment of the equity can greatly impact the organization. So what kind of a standard of comparison they are using when they are comparing their input and the output, that is also very important. And so that is that this issue is important for employee motivation and satisfaction. And you can see this diagram: pay seems fair and pay seems unfair. Now employees judgment: employee who perceive they are under rewarded are likely to make up the difference by putting up less effort. They can reduce the inputs, finding ways to increase outcome, sometimes stealing, and withdrawing by leaving or refusing to cooperate in the organization because they consider that the organization is unfair with them. Communicating fairness: equity theory tells organization that employees care about their pay relative to what others are earning, and that these feelings are based on what the employee perceive, what they notice and form judgment about. So an organization can do much to contribute to what employees know and as a result what they perceive. If the organization researches salary level and conclude that it is paying its employee generously, it should communicate this. If the employee do not know what the organization learned from its research, they may reach an entirely different conclusion about their pay. And these conclusions can reduce the job satisfaction and can even spread beyond the workplace to job seekers and the customer. So it's equity is about the perception in the employees. So that perception, it is not necessarily that perception is correct. So if the organizations are conducting a survey and they come to know that they are paying higher than the average pay in the market, so they can what they can communicate to the employee. So the employee have this information, and their perception can be improved about the equity of the pay in the organization. Okay, so companies should be transparent about pay policies with the employees, including details about the individual pay, data used for decision making, data about pay ranges and potential for future earning, pay strategy, full disclosure of the organization pay ranges and salaries. Uh, there are some facts about the worker's own paycheck to complete openness about the pay structure, which include the paycheck, detail about the individual employee pay, market data, description of the data used for decision making, pay planning, data about pay ranges and potential for future earning, pay strategy, explanation of how pay decisions relate to the organization objective, and open salary, full disclosure of the organization pay ranges and salary paid. But most companies are at the paycheck level of the disclosure for a current pay, and they have not reached at the third and the fourth level of disclosure and discussion of the employee potential to earn. Now the job structure, that's the fifth objective, explain how organization design pay structure related to the job. And so along with the market forces and the principle of the fairness, Organization consider the relative contribution each job should make to organization overall performance. Executives, what are the pays of how the organizations are determining the pays of the executive, how they are determining the pays of the other individuals who are working in the organization. So one typical way of doing this is with job evaluation, and that's an administrative procedure for measuring the relative worth of the organization job. Usually, the organization does this by assembling and training a job evaluation committee consisting of people familiar with the jobs to be evaluated. And the committee includes a human resource specialist, or they can hire, if the budget permit, they can hire an outside consultant as well. The job evaluation is a procedure for measuring the relative internal worth of the organization job. In order to conduct a job evaluation, first the committee need to identify the job's compensable factor. Compensable factors meaning the characteristics of the job that the organization values and chooses to pay for. As you can look into the table 12.1, an organization might value the experience and the education of the people performing computer related jobs, as well as the complexity of those jobs. So other compensable factor might include working condition and responsibility based on the job attribute defined by job analysis, which we have discussed in chapter number 4. The jobs are rated for each factor. The rater assigns each factor a certain number of points, giving more point to factor when they are considered more important and when the job requires a high level of that factor. Often the number of points come from one of the point manuals published by the trade groups and the management. Organization can adapt that kind of a source, and organization can develop their own source as well. Compensable factors are like education, experience, complexity of the job, working condition, responsibility. So if you look into the compensable factor, so there are different kind of jobs in the organization. First, they have identified the three compensable factor in this organization: experience, education, and the complexity. And then they assign these points to each job. And then you can see that these are the compensable factor for these jobs, which is 110, 155, and then 210. And job evaluation provide the basis for decision about relative internal worth of that job in the organization. So if you look into the job of system analyst in the table 12.1, it's almost his worth is almost twice as much to his organization as the job of the computer operator. Therefore, the organization would be willing to pay almost twice as much for the work of a system analyst as it would be work for the computer operator. So the key job relative value of the job is basically organization define key jobs to help create pay structures, and key jobs have a relatively stable content and are common among many organizations. And pay for key jobs can be based on a survey. So these key jobs are have a relatively stable content. So it's possible to obtain the survey data and to conduct a survey about these jobs. And then these, according to these, once you have identified these key jobs and identified the compensable factor for these key jobs, then the rest of the jobs can be developed from the this basic information about the key jobs. So that's the one way through which you can develop through which you can evaluate the internal worth of these jobs in the organization. Okay, you can answer this question in the comment section. So, as we described in the first section of this chapter, the pay structure reflects decision about how much to pay level, and the relative value of the each job structure. So, pay structure is basically consists of the pay level and the job structure, and the organization pay structure should reflect what the organization know about market forces as well as its unique goals and the relative contribution of each job to achieving the goal. So by having these kind of the internal and the external information, The organization goal is to set levels of the pay that the employees will consider equitable and motivating. Organization establish some combination of the pay rates, pay grades, and the pay ranges. So within this structure, they may state the pay in terms of a rate per hour, commonly called an hourly wage, a rate of pay for each unit produced, known as a piece work rate, or a rate of pay per month or year called a salary. So there are different kind of the structure, hourly wages, piece work rate, and the salary, depending upon organization policies, and they can use some combination of pay rates, pay grade, and the pay ranges. Okay, the pay rates. If the organization concern is that what people are earning in their comparable job, the organization can base pay directly on market research of as many of its key jobs as possible. For example, they can, for example, if you want to pay what you are going to pay to human resource manager, so you can look for the pays of the comparable human resource manager jobs in that community, in that industry. Or if there's a transferable competencies and the skills, then you can look for the different kind of the industry that what the HR manager are getting in different kind of the industry. So once you identified that, once you conducted the survey, then you can weigh based on their quality and the relevance of the data. And in light of that knowledge, organization decide what it will pay for that particular kind of the job. And the next step is determine salaries for non-key jobs. That if the HR manager is the key job, then the next step is how you determine the salary about the non-key job for which the organization has no survey data. And a person developing the pay structure creates a graph like the one in the figure 12.4. And the vertical axis shows the range of the possible pay rates, and the horizontal axis measure the points from the job evaluation. The analyst plots points according to the job evaluation and pay rate for each job. Finally, the analyst fit a line called a pay policy line to the points plotted, and this can be done on the computer as well using a procedure called regression analysis. And this line shows the relationship between the job evaluation points and the rate of pay. So thus the line slopes upward from left to right, and if the higher level jobs are especially valuable to the organization, the line may curve upward to indicate even greater pay for the higher level jobs. So using this line, the analyst can estimate the market pay level for a given job evaluation. Um, Using this line, the analyst can estimate the market pay level for a given job evaluation, and looking at the graph will give approximate numbers, or the regression analysis will provide an equation for calculating the rate of the pay. For example, using the policy pay line, a job with a 315 evaluation points would have a predicted salary of $6,486 per month. So through this pay policy line, you can, once you have the data about your key jobs, you can basically plot these key jobs, and then with certain non-key jobs, once you have this pay line curve, so you can determine that where your non-key jobs are falling on the job evaluation points, and according to their job evaluation point, what are their predicted salaries. And you are getting this predicted salary from the market survey data for the key point jobs, and these key point jobs will help you to determine the salary of the non-key jobs as well. Okay, the pay grades. Let's talk about the pay grades. And a large organization could have hundreds and thousands of the different jobs, and setting a pay for each job would be very difficult and complex for those organizations like government of Pakistan, like any multinational corporation. Therefore, many organization groups jobs into pay grades. Pay grade mean that the pay grade for a set of the jobs having a similar worth or the content, they group together to establish rates of the pay. For example, the organization could establish five pay grades with the same pay available to employees holding any job within the same grade. For example, in case of government of Pakistan, they have the basic pay scale like scale 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and for each pay grade, they have a different kind of the job which are falling in that pay grade. So if they have a different kind of a occupational services like a police and like a custom, like a income tax, like a uh, teachers, so they have a certain kind of a grade where these different jobs fall into that particular grade. For example, um, assistant commissioner and uh, uh, I think ASP and lecturer, they are falling in certain kind of a similar grade. So these are the kind of the pay grades. The pay grades are set of the jobs having a similar worth or content. They group together to establish rates of a pay. So that basically helps the organization to have a simpler pay structure when they are using the pay grades. A drawback of pay grade is that grouping jobs will result in rates of pay for individual jobs that do not precisely match the level specified by the market and the organization job structure. For example, organization group together its senior accountant with a job evaluation of 255 point and its senior system analyst with a job evaluation of 270 point. So the market pay for the system analyst is higher than the accountant. And if the organization want to hire a system analyst by offering the same pay grade where they are offering to the accountant, so they would be difficult for them to find employees at that kind of the pay range. So that's why organization would have to pay more than the market requires for accountant or pay less than the market rate for system analyst. So it would probably have a different recruiting and retaining them. For accountant, they have a different kind of a strategy, and for the system analyst, they could have a different kind of a strategy uh, if they want to hire them. But if they're putting up in the same kind of the pay range, so it would be difficult for them to get accountant and the system analyst at the pay range if the market conditions are like that. Okay, Ji. Then about the pay ranges, uh, the organization wants some flexibility in setting up their individual jobs, pay for the individual jobs, and they want to pay more to the most valuable employee and to give a reward for their performance, and which we'll discuss in the next chapter as well. In order to have that kind of the flexibility, the pay structure usually include a pay range for each job or pay grade. So pay structure include that kind of a pay range, and by pay range we mean a set of possible pay rates defined by the minimum, maximum, and the midpoint of the pay for employees holding a particular job or job within a particular pay grade. There are possible pay rates which has been defined by the minimum, maximum, and the midpoint of pay for employees holding a particular job or job within a particular pay scale. In other words, organization establishes the minimum, maximum, and the midpoint of the pay for the employees holding a particular job or a job within a particular pay grade. An employee holding the same job may receive somewhat different pay depending upon the where their pay falls within that kind of a range. जो टिपिकल अप्रोच है इसके अंदर मार्केट रेट के हवाले से और पे पॉलिसी लाइन के हवाले से कि आप मिड पॉइंट ऑफ द रेंज जो है वो मालूम करते हैं फॉर अ जॉब और अ पे ग्रेड एंड द मिनिमम एंड द मैक्सिमम वैल्यू फॉर द रेंज में आल्सो बी बेस्ड ऑन द मार्केट सर्वेज ऑफ दोज अमाउंट्स. तो उस सर्विस को देखते हुए आप ये देख लेते हैं और ये भी देख लेते हैं कि आपकी जो पे रेंजेस हैं वो ओवरलैप भी कर रहे होते हैं. कई जगहों पे ओवरलैप करते हैं. मसलन आप ये देख सकते हैं कि ये मुख्तलिफ किस्म की पे रेंजेस उन्होंने बनाई हुई हैं विद इन दैट लाइन रादर देन हैविंग जिस तरह पहले आपने पढ़ा उसके अंदर एक लाइन के ऊपर जो उनकी पे आ रही थी, लेकिन इसके यहाँ मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम पॉइंट बनाकर और उसके मिड पॉइंट बनाकर उनको जोड़ा गया है ताकि एक पे के अंदर एक फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी हो और वो दी जा सके. और अगर आप एक पे ग्रेड के अंदर मैक्सिमम में पहुंच गए हैं तो वो हो सकता है नेक्स्ट पे ग्रेड का मिनिमम हो. इस ओवरलैप की वजह से भी अगर आपने किसी की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को चेंज करना हो या फिर उसको प्रमोशन देनी हो, तो उसी पे रेंज के अंदर आप उसको प्रमोशन भी दे सकते हैं, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को बढ़ा भी सकते हैं। तो इसलिए इस पे ग्रेड का एक फायदा हो जाता है, जब आपके पास एक रेंज आ जाती है, विद इन दैट पे ग्रेड आपके पास एक रेंज क्रिएट हो जाती है, तो ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को थोड़ी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी क्रिएट करता है कि वो कर सकते हैं। तो पे रेंजेस कभी कभार ओवरलैप भी करते हैं, हाईएस्ट पे इन द वन ग्रेड इज समवॉट हायर देन द लोएस्ट पे इन द नेक्स्ट ग्रेड, और ओवरलैपिंग की वजह से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी मिल जाती है कि वो अपने एम्प्लॉयज को ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं दूसरे जॉब के हवाले से। और लेस मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट इज टू अर्न प्रमोशन इन ऑर्डर टू कीप गेटिंग रेजेस, और डिपेंडिंग अपॉन का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के पास ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं कि वो लोगों को प्रमोट कर सकते हैं, देन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैन बेसिकली मोटिवेट द एम्प्लॉयज कि वो अपने उस पे ग्रेड के अंदर अपनी परफॉर्मेंस को बेहतर करें ताकि उनकी प्रमोशन की जा सके। अब पे स्ट्रक्चर के हवाले से पुटिंग इट ऑल टुगेदर, पे डिफरेंशियल के हवाले से हम बात करते हैं, दैट एडजस्टमेंट टू द पे रेट टू रिफ्लेक्ट डिफरेंसेस इन द वर्किंग कंडीशन और द लेबर मार्केट। अगर कोई नाइट शिफ्ट के अंदर काम कर रहा है तो वहाँ कुछ एक्स्ट्रा पे कर दिया जाता है, और अगर कोई ऐसी लिविंग जगह पे काम कर रहा है जहाँ एक्सपेंसेस बहुत हाई हैं उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर, या कंपटीशन बहुत ज़्यादा है टैलेंट के हवाले से, तो वहाँ भी पे एडजस्टमेंट की जाती हैं। ऐसी पे एडजस्टमेंट्स को हम कहते हैं पे डिफरेंशियल्स, एडजस्टमेंट टू द पे रेट टू रिफ्लेक्ट डिफरेंसेस इन द वर्किंग कंडीशन और द लेबर मार्केट। तो उसके बारे से आप सर्वे करके देख सकते हैं कहाँ किस तरह की क्या सीपीआई है, क्या इन्फ्लेशन रेट है, उसके मुताबिक किस तरह की पे देनी चाहिए, किस तरह का सप्लाई साइड है अवेलेबल, उसकी डिपेंड करता है इस पे कि कितने ज़्यादा आपके पास उस तरह का ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज मार्केट में किस लेवल पे अवेलेबल है ना। अभी तक जो आपसे बात कर रहे थे वो जॉब बेस्ड अप्रोच थी पे स्ट्रक्चर को डिटरमिन करने के हवाले से, एंड देयर सम अल्टरनेटिव टू द जॉब बेस्ड पे, एंड क्योंकि अभी तक जो भी ट्रेडिशनली अप्रोचेज हैं उनकी कुछ लिमिटेशन है इस हवाले से जो जॉब के ऊपर एम्फोसिस करते हैं, एंड समटाइम कुछ लोग ये भी कह देते हैं टिपिकल एटीट्यूड, दिस इज नॉट ऑन माय जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन और दिस इज नॉट माय जॉब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। तो जॉब स्ट्रक्चर पे जो है वो उसका ये भी कभी कभार एक इस मामले के अंदर लोग जो हैं बहुत ज़्यादा पर्टिकुलर हो जाते हैं। तो इसका ऑल्टरनेटिव्स क्या हो सकते हैं, एंड तो इसके ऑल्टरनेटिव के अंदर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इसके जो जॉब स्ट्रक्चर पे के ऑल्टरनेटिव के हवाले से बात करते हैं, तो फाइंड अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ द फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी थ्रू डी लेयरिंग। डी लेयरिंग से मुराद है कि वो नंबर ऑफ लेवल्स हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जॉब स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर कम कर लेते हैं। स्ट्रक्चर जैसे आपको पहले पे ग्रेड बताया, अगर पाकिस्तान में 1 से लेकर 22 तक के पे ग्रेड हैं, तो डी लेयरिंग का मतलब होगा कि उनके नंबर ऑफ लेवल जो हैं वो कम कर दिए जाएं। और अक्सर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बहुत सारी असाइनमेंट को एक सिंगल लेयर के अंदर ले आती हैं, देश और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के मैनेजर को ज़्यादा फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी मिल जाती है कि मुख्तलिफ किस्म की असाइनमेंट दे सकें उस रेंज के अंदर, और उसके अंदर पे भी इंक्रीज कर सकें। और ये जो ब्रॉडर ग्रुपिंग बना देते हैं कि बहुत सारे पे ग्रेड को जब वो कंबाइन करके एक ब्रॉडर ग्रुप बनाते हैं, इसको ब्रॉड बैंड भी कहा जाता है। इस तरह आईबीएम ने अपना पे स्ट्रक्चर को चेंज किया था, 5000 जॉब टाइटल थे, 24 सैलरी ग्रेड थे, और उसको उन्होंने 1200 जॉब्स के ऊपर और 10 बैंड्स के अंदर उसको कन्वर्ट किया था। और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईबीएम ने ब्रॉड बैंड्स को इस्तेमाल किया और पॉइंट फैक्टर जॉब इवेल्युएशन को उन्होंने रिप्लेस किया विद एन अप्रोच बेस्ड ऑन मैचिंग जॉब्स टू द डिस्क्रिप्शन। और जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन जो है वो असाइन की बैंड को, और जिनके करेक्टरिस्टिक जो थे वो उस जॉब करेक्टरिस्टिक के साथ मीट करते थे। ब्रॉड बैंड के अंदर आप मल्टीपल एक बड़ा बैंड जब बनाते हैं उसके अंदर नंबर ऑफ जॉब्स जो है उनको बढ़ा देते हैं उनकी कॉम्पिटेंसीज और स्किल्स के हवाले से, उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स के हवाले से, ताकि आप जो है उसके अंदर उस ब्रॉड बैंड के अंदर लोगों को मुख्तलिफ किस्म की जॉब जो है वो असाइन कर सकें। एक और भी तरीकाकार है जॉब बेस्ड पे का ऑल्टरनेटिव है, वो है स्किल बेस्ड पे, दैट सेट पे अकॉर्डिंग टू द एम्प्लॉयज लेवल ऑफ स्किल्स or knowledge that what they are capable of doing. Paying for skill makes sense of organization where changing technology requires employees to continuously widen and deepen their knowledge. अगर कोई मॉडर्न मशीनरी है या आईटी इंडस्ट्री है जहां आपको मसलसल नए नए स्किल चाहिए, लोगों को सीखने चाहिए, तो वहाँ स्किल बेस्ड पे आप यूज़ कर सकते हैं। लेकिन स्किल बेस्ड पे का डिसएडवांटेज ये है कि अगर एम्प्लॉयज अपने स्किल्स को बढ़ा रहे हैं, तो वो एक्चुअल जो जॉब उसको पे हो सकता है उन कॉम्पिटेंसी और टेक्नोलॉजी का उस तरह का इस्तेमाल ना हो जॉब के हवाले से, लेकिन वो स्किल को बढ़ाने में ज़्यादा मसरूफ हो बजाय कि अपनी जॉब की इफेक्टिवनेस को बढ़ाने के हवाले से। तो ये डिसएडवांटेज हो सकता है स्किल का, कि स्किल बेस्ड पे आप बढ़ा दें, स्किल बढ़ा रहे हैं अपनी कॉम्पनसेशन को इंक्रीज करने के लिए, लेकिन एक्चुअल जॉब परफॉर्मेंस के अंदर वो स्किल कितना ट्रांसलेट हो रहा है, ये क्वेश्चन मार्क हो सकता है। तो बहरहाल स्किल बेस्ड पे फिर भी कोई अल्टरनेटिव नहीं है ब्रोक्रेसी का और पेपर वर्क और ट्रेडिशनल पे स्ट्रक्चर का, बिकॉज फिर भी आपको रिकॉर्ड करना है कि किस तरह के स्किल्स लोगों ने हासिल किए, किस तरह का स्किल सेट उनका है, किस तरह की ट्रेनिंग उन्होंने हासिल की और किस तरह की नॉलेज की रिक्वायरमेंट उनकी मौजूद है। तो बहरहाल ये दो अल्टरनेटिव हो सकते हैं इसके हवाले से। एक डी लेयरिंग है जिसके अंदर ब्रॉड बैंड क्रिएट हो जाते हैं और मोर एम्फेसिस ऑन एक्वायरिंग एक्सपीरियंस नॉट प्रमोशन, और दूसरा है स्किल बेस्ड पे। ओके जी, पे स्ट्रक्चर एंड एक्चुअल पे, समराइज हाउ टू इंश्योर दैट द पे इज एक्चुअली इन लाइन विद द पे स्ट्रक्चर। ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर नॉर्मली ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डिपार्टमेंट इस बात का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी उसकी होती है कि वो पे स्ट्रक्चर को एस्टेब्लिश करे, और लेकिन एक स्ट्रक्चर को किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एंड नहीं हो सकता इसके हवाले से कि सिर्फ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर पे स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट कर लिए जाएं, बल्कि स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की पॉलिसी को रिप्रेजेंट करता है। लेकिन एक्चुअली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर क्या पे दी जा रही है लोगों को और एक्चुअली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की पॉलिसी क्या है, उसके अंदर कभी कभार डिफरेंसेस होते हैं, और इस तरह के डिफरेंसेस सामने आए जो एक्चुअल पे में और पे स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर हो, तो उसके हवाले से भी पॉलिसीज बनाना और इन मामलों को डील करना भी एचआर डिपार्टमेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है। एक कॉमन मेथड जिसके जरिए से ये मालूम किया जा सके कि एक्चुअल पे और पे स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर क्या फ़र्क है, उसको कॉम्पर रेशो कहते हैं। कॉम्पर रेशो किस तरह कैलकुलेट की जाती है? पहली बात तो आपको रेशो ऑफ एवरेज पे टू द मिड पॉइंट ऑफ द पे रेंज, इट्स बेसिकली रेशो ऑफ एवरेज पे टू द मिड पॉइंट ऑफ द रेंज। यानी आप एक मिड पॉइंट रेंज का निकाल लें, फिर एवरेज रेशो निकाल लें और उसको फिर आप डिवाइड कर लें। तो एवरेज अगर मिड पॉइंट इक्वल सी आर इज इक्वल टू वन, अगर if CR is greater than 1 then average pay is above midpoint, if CR is less than 1 then average pay is below midpoint। इससे आपको पता चल जाएगा। ये आपकी बुक में एक एग्जांपल भी उन्होंने सॉल्व करके दी है, इसको आप देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से उन्होंने कॉम्पर रेशो कैलकुलेट की है। तो आपको ये पता चल जाएगा कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की जो पॉलिसीज हैं पे के हवाले से वो क्या है, और जो एक्चुअल पे लोगों को मिल रही है वो क्या है, क्या उनके अंदर कोई फर्क तो नहीं है। इस हवाले से आप देख सकते हैं। अच्छा, पे फॉर एग्जेक्टिव्स में डिस्कस कर लेता हूँ। पे ड्यूरिंग मिलिट्री ड्यूटी तो हमारे लिए इतना रेलेवेंट नहीं है, और मीडिया इसके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा बात करता है कि यूएस कंपनी के अंदर जो सीईओज हैं उनकी सैलरीज बहुत हाई हैं इन कंपैरिजन टू द एवरेज कॉम्पनसेशन ऑफ देयर एम्प्लॉयज। लेकिन उसके अंदर ये भी बात देखने वाली है कि उनकी जो सैलरीज हैं उनका जो सैलरी कंपोनेंट है उनकी कॉम्पनसेशन का, वो भी आप फिगर 12.7 में देखें, अगर एवरेज सीईओ की पे देखी जाए तो 13% है। बाकी 23% जो है बोनसेस हैं, 64% जो है वो स्टॉक एंड ऑप्शंस हैं। बहरहाल टॉप एग्जेक्टिव्स की जो सैलरीज हैं वो एक टोन और कल्चर ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को भी सेट करती हैं, और क्या ये इक्विटेबल है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर इतनी हायर पेज उनको देने के हवाले से। जिस तरह कोविड-19 के दौरान बहुत सारे कुछ सैलरी सीईओज ने अपनी सैलरीज को रिड्यूस कर दिया और कुछ लोगों ने सैलरी लेने से भी ली भी नहीं। तो बहरहाल जो सैलरी उन्होंने नहीं ली वो तो बड़ा एक स्मॉल सा पार्ट था उनकी वेल्थ का, और मेजर पार्ट तो उनके स्टॉक ऑप्शन और बोनसेस और इंसेंटिव से आ रहा था। तो एग्जेक्टिव्स की पे के हवाले से नॉर्मली यही परसेप्शन है कि एग्जेक्टिव की पे इज मच हायर देन द एवरेज वर्क पे, और कुछ लोग इसको इक्विटी थ्योरी के हवाले से देखते हैं और उनको लगता है कि इक्विटी थ्योरी के हवाले से उनको लगता है कि परफॉर्मेंस जो कि हैं उसके अंदर बहुत सारे लोग कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, तो एग्जेक्टिव पे डज नॉट डिक्लाइन एज फास्ट एज द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन प्रॉफिट और स्टॉक प्राइस। उनकी उस तरीके से कॉम्पनसेशन कम नहीं होते हैं जिस तरह प्रॉफिट कम हो रहे हैं। और लेकिन भारत लोग ये भी कहते हैं कि चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव जो होता है उसका एक लार्जर इम्पैक्ट होता है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की परफॉर्मेंस पर, इस वजह से वो लोगों के बिहेवियर को अफेक्ट करता है, तो इसलिए उसकी पे जो है हाई रखी जाती है। तो एम्प्लॉयज ओपिनियन अबाउट द इक्विटी ऑफ द एग्जीक्यूटिव पे कैन हैव अ लार्जर इफेक्ट ऑन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन परफॉर्मेंस। अगर आपका ये परसेप्शन हो कि यहाँ हायर लोगों को ज़्यादा पेज मिल जाती हैं, तो उस केस के अंदर जो है ये आपकी ओवरऑल इक्विटी को जो है इफेक्ट करता है। Okay, this is the one figure which you can see average pay of the employees. So this is all for today. If you have any question, please post the question and you can come up with your question in the class as well.